Hey, it is so nice to see Joel here. Thanks for joining us, man.
What's up, everybody? This is your boy, Time to Shine, Ed. We're here with the executive consultant and Kilmo Charles for the conference playoff selection. Unfortunately, Joel is.
Let's not say unfortunately anymore. It's been like 8 weeks. Okay, they're like at this point. They're like, who's that guy? You know what? I watched the intro and I'm going. It's a little bit bittersweet because it's actually one of the most favorite intros I've ever made. Right, love it. Right, but then I was looking at it really closely and I was like, one, Eddie, you look high as shit. Right, in your video, and then Chris, you look like you're about to cry. I don't know what's going on with you. You must have saw a bad Eagles game in the last 5 weeks, but. I really, really just want to highlight that I love that intro. I'm going to miss it. It was really good because we only have one more week left, and it's going to be really, really quick this episode because we only have 2 games to talk about, right? 2 games to talk about. So let's talk about what we saw last week first, and then we'll go on to the 2 games. Let's talk about some of the thoughts and takeaways we have with the divisional round.
Okay, that sounds good. Where would you like to start? Which game shall we start with? The Bills and
not talk about that because that was the big one, right? That was the one
that was the big one.
That was the one that was the most talked about. Let's talk about something a little small. Let's talk about the Houston Texans as they face the Baltimore Ravens.
Oh, the Baltimore Ravens. Sorry, yeah. Well, that game for me, man. Like honestly, I didn't expect Houston to really go out like that. I mean, I thought they would have put up more of a fight and kept it a closer game, even though I knew for sure that Baltimore was going to win that game. There was no doubt in my mind that Lamar Jackson was going to lead them into a victory, especially after he already acknowledged the last time that they had taken a bye week, he didn't get enough preparation because they set him down. For the final game of the season. This year, however, he acknowledged it and he says that he knows what he has to do in order to take the proper steps to get him prepared, even though he's not playing. And as you can see, he showed it. I mean, it took him a second to get it going from the first to the second quarter, but overall, he was a dynamic player. He was the best player on the field. He made plays with his arms. He made plays with his legs. He overall just looks like the best player out in the NFL right now. Confident, absolutely.
I just want to talk about how disappointed I was in the Houston Texans in general. Like, I really thought they had a huge chance. I thought they were going to lose, but I thought they had a big chance to defeat the Baltimore Ravens. I was rooting for them, and they just, acted like they didn't want to be there. And that just pissed me off. So, I mean, you make the Baltimore Ravens look strong and make them look like they're a terrifying threat in the AFC Championship.
How about Baltimore was just what you thought they were? They were a bigger threat. I mean, look at Houston had the number 2 draft pick this beginning year. No one, including them, thought they were going to get as far as they did. And they had one of the youngest teams in the NFL. They were playing with house money, and they have things to build on all the way through. Their front office is good. The head coaching staff, which is young, awesome. They might lose their offensive coordinator, Slovak, because I think I know Washington's trying to get him. But other than losing the OC, they're pretty much set. They're well under the cap, I think, if I remember correctly. And they're not slated to lose a lot of their core players for at least 2 or 3 years. So Yeah, Houston came into this point if they had a puncher's chance, but just like how we were all surprised about how bad Fury beat anyone who you put against him because he doesn't look like he trains for any damn
I
match.
wouldn't say anybody he goes against. Can't say that.
Okay.
No, well, I mean, for me,
I thought Wilder was going to beat him, and
Wilder should have beat him.
If Wilder took that match seriously, didn't wear like an 80-pound garment to the ring, he might have had a little bit more gas in the tank. But you try to put on for the people, knowing that your cardio isn't the best because he's never been a boxer. You're not going to move around like you need to. Right. You're a straight puncher. So yeah, Houston had a puncher's chance against what's arguably the best team in the NFL. Because where is a weakness in Baltimore's offense? Or defense, for that matter. They're good all the way through. With Detroit, their front seven on defense is great.
Right.
But that secondary is just not awful, but it's not good either.
Weaknesses in a few teams, and they were exposed this past Sunday. Another team, game we're going to talk about is the Green Bay Packers versus the San Francisco 49ers. And this game actually surprised me as well. I'll go first one to you on my time to share Ed, because the Green Bay Packers actually went out there looking like they might do the damn thing against the San Francisco 49ers. They played very, very well. Shout out to Jordan Love. Somebody said in the chat, I think it was a chat, maybe I saw it on ESPN or something like that, that Green Bay has not had a bad quarterback in God knows how long, right? Aaron Rodgers, of course, is being number one. I think Jordan Love is really good at what he does. Brett Favre is a legend, even though I always thought he was a bit overrated. I thought he just threw a lot of passes up in the air and just pray to God.
Nothing wrong with being a gunslinger so long as it works.
And it did work. So shout out to him as well, the Green Bay Packers. But Green Bay, who was very inconsistent, especially at the beginning of the season, found a stride late in the season, however, still was not considered a top three team in the NFC. Let's be honest. Went out there and gave San Francisco 49ers some comp to the point where it actually looked like San Francisco was not going to make it to the conference championships, but of course they end up coming back and taking the victory. Your thoughts on this game? Let's start with you. Well, continue on with you. Time to shine, Ed.
For me, this game, it was definitely a lot more competitive than what I expected it to be. Jordan Love came out and did his thing like everybody expected him to do, honestly. The last couple of weeks into the season, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, they had to go on like a 6 or 7 game winning streak in order to even make the playoffs. So the fact that they were even there in advance, went to Dallas and beat Dallas at home where they have been pretty much lights out for the last 2 seasons or whatnot. They overcame that, and then they had a great game against San Francisco. So my hat's off to them. I think that they should go into the offseason and into the next season with a lot of positives. Like Chris said, they haven't really had any bad quarterbacks in a very long time. I mean, you go from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers, and now you got Jordan Love behind the helm. So it's gonna
with the emerging wide receiver core, so they don't need to invest any draft capital in that.
Oh yeah, I mean that wide receiving core came out, and I mean it surprised everybody because nobody really knew many of them that were playing, or let's say we do know them because it's our job to know who they are and everything, but to really know them for being a dynamic player or XYZ, that was not the case. Now, what I think went south for them in the game, I think they fell off of the running game. They should have kept on running Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones really, really was the backbone of the game, aside from Jordan Love making the crucial throws that needed to be thrown when they needed to be thrown. But yeah, definitely wide receivers emerging, quarterback great, the defense and the linebackers and everything. They did their thing. So I don't really see a downside of Green Bay losing, other than they don't get to go into the next round. But overall, I believe that how everything played out, how they competed against the top NFC team, it's a win.
Kilmo Charles, your thoughts?
San Francisco scares me whenever any player goes down.
This is very true.
And with Debo going down with the shoulder injury, after he had just narrowly escaped the ankle injury beforehand, it was like, dang, it's last year all over again. Instead of Brock Purdy, it's Debo this time. And okay, so yeah, he's your Swiss Army knife, but like without him on the field, they look vulnerable. And
yards per catch dwindle by a lot. So I do agree with you on that one.
I get that, but you told me Ray McCloud and Brandon Ayuk can't boost their numbers any without him on the field, taking away at least a linebacker and one defensive back.
Well, JJ McCloud, you're right. I mean, I think that he needs to either step up or he's going to lose the position this upcoming offseason. I think that they are recognizing that they do need a little bit more production out of the wide receivers in general. With Brandon Ayuk, I think we've learned that Brandon Ayuk is really good for like 3 to 4 throws, maybe 5 throws, and most of them are going to be past 15 yards, 10, 15 yards. He's not really much of a grinded out wide receiver. Some people see him as a number one receiver, which I could see how, but unless he has help to take some pressure away from him, he doesn't really take double coverage pretty well or well at all. So, but yeah, you're absolutely right.
Next thing we're going to talk about real quickly is going to be let's talk, which game do I want to talk about? I don't know.
We talked Texans and
let's talk Detroit.
Detroit and Tampa.
Detroit and Tampa. Oh yeah, I was a Lions fan this weekend, so yeah, let's talk about. But Detroit looked like they made. It was a little tighter, but Detroit and Tampa with the Lions going out there looking like they could be a credible threat in the NFC Championship. And this was a team that people pretty much wrote down. Now I'll say this: one person I know said that going into the 2023-2024 season, that Detroit Lions were going to be a credible threat and were going to do some damage this season. And that person was the executive consultant. I called it straight ahead. But I will say that I'm surprised that they made it this far because that I did not see. Time to shine. Ed, your thoughts.
Yeah. Well, Jared Goff has came. He started off the season pretty rocky. Turnovers, making poor decisions, taking unnecessary sacks and everything. But moving on to the second half of the season, he really kind of like settled down, anchored down, and got the team moving and trending into the positives and everything. For a minute during the season, people were thinking hitting the panic button, and they were thinking like, "Oh my God, the Detroit Lions aren't it? They're not going to make it." But obviously, they did. They played a great game. Pretty much every game in the last 4 or 5 games of the season, they had phenomenal games and everything. You have that contradictory game against the Dallas Cowboys and everything, where if everything would have gone to their favor, they would have definitely won that game. But yeah, absolutely. I thought they were going to have a good game. I didn't think that they were going to make it to the conference championship or anything like that, but they did. However, they did make it look a lot tighter than what I thought it would have been against Tampa Bay. Even though, look, since the very beginning, I've been saying Baker Mayfield in Tampa Bay is looking like a totally new person. He doesn't even remotely look like the Baker from Cleveland. My hat's off to him and what he did over in Tampa Bay and trying to fill in the shoes after Tom Brady left and everything, which those are some big shoes to fill. But hey, look, he got them to the playoffs. He got them to the divisional round. They look very competitive. So there's a lot of positives going into that team also. But I do agree with the consultant when it's in terms of next year. absolutely, I have no doubt that moving forward for the foreseeable future, Detroit Lions are going to be a team to reckon with. The running backs, wide receivers, quarterback, defense, coordinators, head coach. I'm loving everything that they're doing in Detroit.
I think everyone's just so used to seeing Detroit choke that it's almost expected. And they definitely have some work they need to do with the secondary. Like, I don't know where they go to address the holes like immediately, but something definitely needs to be done with that secondary. The front seven, they just need to keep it all together. Everyone on there almost plays lights out every time. If you can get past that linebacking core,
Hutchinson, that boy is a dope.
We'll be comparing him to TJ Watt soon. But yeah, if you get past that linebacking core, that secondary just has holes on. I don't know if it's the scheme that they do, where they like to bring that strong safety in, or he plays too far out with the cover two shell. It works for the regular season because obviously they got to where they are, but. Yeah, they need to bring in someone, maybe go for like Jeremy Chin and let him revitalize his career there because he's not doing anything in Carolina because we just don't know where to put him. But take Chin over there, put him in that strong safety spot, and let him play a little bit 8-man in the box. But he's shown that he could play just straight out strong safety. He doesn't need to be in any kind of weird formations because obviously that doesn't work because it showed with us. And now they talking about, he's some trash. But 2 years ago, he was almost rookie. Well, 2 or 3 years ago, he was almost defensive rookie of the year. He can play. He just needs to be in the right system. And put him at one position. Stop. Like, a lot of teams are good at getting that whole safety linebacker hybrid. But once you start changing your formations and, bringing in new coordinators to try to do what the first coordinator was pretty good at, it's you see what happens. Not to crap on what Idro did with us because Panthers were the number 4 overall defense. But too many times, like once we get one section shored up, Horn went down. Okay, well, you still got Dexter on the other side. Bring Chin down, have him still cover wide receiver. We've been all right, but nah, you want to bring him down. He's a fifth linebacker sometimes, and then we get beat over the top. We just couldn't put 2 games together. So someone like Chin going to Detroit would think that would be like the difference maker for them.
Absolutely.
All right, the last game we want to talk about is the Green Bay Packers the Buffalo Bills versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Another close game down to the wire, and pretty much a field goal was the reason why this game ended the way it did. A heartbreaking field goal, as in my opinion, it looked like it was about to go in, and then it hit the okie-doke curve to the right, which ended the chances of the Buffalo Bills, who played a phenomenal game that week. It was a very good game, leading to the AFC Championship, which is going to be the Chiefs versus the Baltimore Ravens. But time to shine. Actually, let's go down to Kim Charles. Your thoughts on this past game, real quick, before we get to the championship games.
I wrote off the Bills quite a while ago. Yeah, that was kind of what fantasy implications as to my opinion is that, but they kind of showed me, yeah, they could play a good game, but they don't play a good 60 minutes. So, yeah, they can make any game look interesting. There is no reason they shouldn't be in a championship game now, except it's the Buffalo Bills. It's what we've come to expect of them. Right there, just can't get over whatever hump comes over their way. This time it was, Taylor Swift and the Kelseys doing their thing up in the box. You constantly see them up there and
Mad boobs.
all that good.
Mad boobs. No, yeah, I mean, for me, the game was definitely very competitive. I definitely expected the Buffalo Bills to come out on top in this game, mainly because of how poorly the offense for Kansas City had been playing and how well the Buffalo defense has been playing in the X amount of games or whatnot. And also the fact that Josh Allen has been really taking care of the ball, making critical decisions with running the ball, when to throw it, when to throw it away, not taking crucial sacks and all that kind of stuff. And for the most part, the game was played flawlessly, I'll say. But we all know one thing for sure is that when you're playing against Kansas City, when you're playing against Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, you have to put him out. Like if you're gonna plan just to go tit for tat and give them freaking, what was that? Damn near 3.5 minutes in the final drive to go down the field. I mean, that's child's play for Patrick Mahomes. So once I saw how the game developed and everything, I was not surprised about the outcome. However, I know Tyler Bass is very, very upset. Damn, that sucks, man. To lose it by a kick, and your kicker's been doing great throughout the entire season, and in the most crucial time, he does not come through. Wow, what a finish. But I guess to sum it up, I will say that I don't think that it's a panic button in Buffalo yet. I don't know whether Stephon Diggs is going to go back to the Buffalo Bills this year. I know they've been having a lot of issues. So I think that's the number one question mark going into the offseason is whether they're going to keep Josh Allen and whether they're going to retain Stephon Diggs.
All right, we're going to take our first commercial break. When we come back, we're finally going to talk about the NFC Championship game coming up this week. Stay with us. You're watching Unpopular Review.
Do you watch your own movies back?
I love them.
You love them.
I love my movies.
You have the chance to walk off with $500,000. Would you take it?
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
What's your name?
Django.
If they hadn't done what I told them not to do, they'd still be alive.
We're gonna be doing one thing and one thing only. Killing Nazis. Sound good? Yes, sir!
Is it safe?
Oh, it's better than safe. It's death proof.
We get into a fight, I accidentally kill you, I go to jail.
Anybody accidentally kills anybody in a fight, they go to jail. It's called manslaughter.
One of them fellas is not what he says he is.
Hard part's over.
Like these movies.
I'm not them. I'm very happy with my work.
Ladies and gentlemen, UPRE next Tuesday does a director spotlight on Quentin Tarantino and his work that he's done over the course of 2-3 decades. So looking forward to that one. I'm not a fan of his work at times, but we'll talk more about that next Tuesday. In the meantime, this is the football edition. Talk about the NFC and the AFC championships. I'm the exec consultant, joined with Time to Shine Ed and Kilmo Charles. And Time to Shine Ed, let's go ahead and start it with whatever championship game you want to talk about.
All right. We're going to start off with the San Francisco 49ers versus the Detroit Lions.
See, you can't even get it out. You're not used to talking about the Lions this late in the season.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the last time that they were there, I think Barry Sanders was still on the team. The last time that they were in the championship, yes, they've been in the playoffs, but they haven't made it to the NFC Championship in 30 some odd years or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, very exciting game. I think everybody in the NFL just about is excited to see finally the Detroit Lions make it deep into the playoffs and everything. That quarterback switch up that they did a few years ago, man, has it paid off for both teams? Absolutely. I mean, Matt Stafford got a Super Bowl, and now Jared Goff has an opportunity to go to another Super Bowl and possibly get a Super Bowl, depending on the outcome on how it goes. For this game, though, I do believe that the San Francisco 49ers are a wrecking ball. However, like we discussed a few clips before, or a few minutes before, the injury to Deebo Samuels definitely takes into play. How good Christian McCaffrey shows up is also whether it will remain to be seen. Trent Williams has to be on the field if they're to really dominate this game the way they want to dominate, especially with Detroit Lions defensive line being as good as they are. Their linebackers, Hutchinson, and I never remember the other dude's name because all I hear is Hutchinson all the time. But yeah, I think that the Detroit Lions can pull off a victory, but Jared Goff is going to have to play lights out. If you can play against San Francisco, no turnovers, no unnecessary sacks, no fumbles, none of that, and put the pressure on Brock Purdy to make the plays, pressure him out of the pocket and all that, Brock Purdy can be cracked. I mean, he's thrown multiple interceptions in multiple games this year. So my pick is San Fran, but I do believe that Detroit Lions can definitely win this game.
I'm gonna go next. I agree with you. Detroit Lions can win this game, but San Francisco is their time, I believe, which is sad because they've had some times before. But it's their time, and it's going to be their time again. I think the Lions are actually going to get blown out. Let me put it this way: it's either going to be blown out, or if the game is close, the Lions are going to pull off the victory. That's my prediction right there. But the NFC Championship is going to be decided by the San Francisco 49ers and how well they play, not Detroit. Kill Mo Charles.
As a Panthers fan, anytime you see training staff on Christian McCaffrey when he's on the sideline, it's like, oh, okay, I remember this story. I remember how this goes. So McCaffrey's not 100%. Big whoop, he's never 100% at this time. But him being at 80%, not having Deebo, where does San Francisco go with their offense? Like, Brock may not be a system quarterback. However, he needs all the weapons on the field for him to be effective. And his two biggest weapons may not make it to the game, or at least be at a percentage-wise where they can be competitive.
Yeah.
So if there was ever a time for Detroit to continue being the dark horse pick and get over the hump, it is this weekend. Like, yeah, just for me, just them getting Tampa Bay in the divisional, that was like, this is, if it's not a gimme game, I don't see what other game would be a gimme game for them. If the Rams had made it past Detroit to play Tampa, then I think this would have been a whole different story altogether. See, I really want to say that Detroit makes this, but it's hard to go against the establishment. And like I said at the beginning of the season, my pick for the Super Bowl was San Fran. So stick to my guns and say San Fran is going to pull this off somehow. If they don't, wouldn't be surprised in the least.
They've blown it the last 2 times that they've been in this position, so we'll see how it goes. All right, the final game.
Hold up, we're going to take a commercial break, and we're going to come back and talk about AFC Championship. Be right back.
Night.
And I could tell at the end of the match he was really hurt because you could see his face. He was so dejected and so disappointed in himself.
That's right. Maybe that's why they didn't use all that extra pyro that they had rumored coming along. You know, there was rumors that they had a lot of.
Don't get me started on that. That shit pissed me off all day. I kept seeing the reports. I was like, "This is news. Oh, more pyro, more pyro, more pyro." Okay. Just like the new set thing. Oh, it's a new set. I looked at that shit. I was like, "There ain't no fucking new set." They had. Obviously, they had. I just read an article like an hour ago. I could tell. I was like, obviously, they showed you the snow outside, right? You can tell they were having issues. Seth Rollins was having a freaking interview backstage. You can see his fucking breath. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was obvious they were having problems. That was a live event stage. You can't tell that shit?
It's the house show stage.
Right. Everybody. You can tell that. But these idiots really were like, oh, new Raw set. Oh, new Raw set. I'm like, they had gigantic shit they had before. Triple A said, no, too big. Let's downgrade it.
Let's scale it down
to what we have on the house show. With these two big scaffoldings right there in the center.
Right in the middle of the graphic. But they made it look like an H.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, that ain't no way that's the Raw set, new Raw set. Ain't no way. Will they make it smaller? Possibly. But will they still make something to make it stand out more? That shit was live events.
Yes, it was.
So the UPR Shorts was exclusive to YouTube and Instagram Reels. So go ahead and check out. We drop a new one every single day. Let's talk about some AFC Championship. Time to shine. Ed, go take it away.
All right. So for this battle in Giants, we got Kansas City and we also got the Baltimore Ravens. Mr. Charles, let's hear you on this.
My pick on this is going to be the Ravens because theoretically there should be no weakness for Patrick Mahomes to exploit on that defense. Like he's constantly going to have pressure in his face. Baltimore's secondary should be able to keep up with whatever routes the receivers do. So if it's not to Kelsey, who's it going to go to? Sure, Rashee Rice showed flashes, and he showed flashes against Buffalo. But like throughout the season, 1 week he shows up, the next week he doesn't. So if Rashee Rice doesn't get to go off, where is Mahomes going to the ball? Because you would think theoretically there should not be any route that Travis Kelce does where he's not doubled. Or at least there should be some type of box around Kelce. I don't know if it's two linebackers, the linebacker and the safety. He should never be in single coverage because they have the people to go around to cover everyone else. Double Kelce, Baltimore wins. Now Mahomes, we all know he got magic he just pulls out whenever he needs to. But I don't think even him with his little magic bag has enough to get past this Ravens defense.
Mr. Consultant.
Forgive me. I can't stand the Ravens. I'm gonna go ahead and let my bias come out on this one because I really don't like the Ravens. I can't stress to you enough. Why? I'm not going to say the obvious reasons why I don't like the Ravens. I just don't like the Ravens. And I feel like one thing that I will give them is that they have been a consistent team at times. They've always, in the 21st century, right? Let's talk about it. It's, a quarter of the century pretty much is already over. Quarter. Imagine that. And when it comes to the sports team of football, in the AFC, there's some teams that's always in there, right? The Patriots, of course, automatically come to mind. The Colts used to be really big in there. The Chiefs lately. But the Ravens have always, the Steelers. How can I forget about the Steelers? I don't know how I forgot about my Steelers. The Steelers. But the Ravens have always been a contender in there. They have. You can't discount that. And there's a reason why. There's, not just because you have to be tough to live in the city of Baltimore. It's not just because of that. Granted, that has something to do with it. but because they know what to do and what to bring to the dance. Because of that, I would have to say they're a favorite, right? But when I'm looking at things, because I look at things from a different angle, and when I'm looking at things, I'm looking at it from the angle of who consistently takes care of business and who brings things to the dance. And when I look at that, I got to look at the Chiefs, who have not played consistent this year. No team really has. But the bottom line is they know how to close out games. They know how to win games when it counts. Look no further than last year when they cheated to win the Super Bowl, right? Mahomes knows how to get it done. He is this generation's GOAT as far as quarterback, not Josh Allen. You got a way to go. Patrick Mahomes is that line that you have to go by as far as when you say who's the best quarterback in the league, you have to start off with Patrick Mahomes. I don't care who you are. You know, have to start out with Patrick Mahomes. Not just because he's the most consistent. It's not because he throws the most. It's not because he throws the hardest, right? It has to be him, not Bruce Allen. Right?
Josh Allen.
I'm sorry, not Josh Allen. Who's Bruce Allen? Who's the defensive?
Whoa, you went
general manager.
I went way back. He used to play for games, but not Josh Allen at all. Not Brock Purdy. It's Patrick Mahomes. I won't even put Jalen Hurts in there. But the reason how come I'm picking the Chiefs is because of certain things. In the game of football, as long as it's been around, there have been certain teams that have defined that game for them decades or that certain period of time. In the 75, 76, 79, 80, it's been the Pittsburgh Steelers. They won a few times before, in between that, and they lost. But these games, they won. 82, 85, 89, 90, and 95, it was the 49ers. Won a few times. No, they won all those. They were undefeated, right? But the 49ers were in there. 93, 94, 96 was the Cowboys, right? They were America's team during this time. Everybody loved the Dallas Cowboys. Some people still can't let it go 30 years ago. Not going to name any names, right? But they can't let go 30 years ago. 02, 04, 05, 15, 17, 19, the Patriots, and they were always in there in some way, shape, form, or fashion. And in 2023, and I believe in 24, and yes, we're not even there next week yet, but I will say it, they're my pick to not only win the AFC Championship, but the Super Bowl are the Kansas City Chiefs. They're my pick.
All right. We all don't need to know the details of the origins of your hatred for Baltimore Ravens. We already know where those allegiances lie. This game is definitely the game of the week. It's the game of the year. I think this is going to be one of those games where it's going to be so hyped that somehow it's going to end up disappointing somebody in some way, some way, sort, fashion.
Yep, 17-10, Baltimore Ravens.
So I'd be so mad, man. I'd be so mad.
I would not bet the overs on either one of these games coming up.
Yeah, it would be hard to. But for me, the key thing, and it's kind of piggybacking off of what Phil was saying, the key thing here is, what are you going to do when Travis Kelce comes after you? All right. You have to double him. You can't forget about him. There's no wide receivers in their crew that they need to really be worried about. I mean, Sky Moore disappears more than freaking Casper the Friendly Ghost. You got Kadarius Toney. I mean,
you can't catch the ball.
Can't catch the ball, and he's likely to give you a free 5 to 10 yards every freaking game. All right. But the other key person that they do need to remember and they cannot forget about, because he will decimate anybody, is Isaiah Pacheco. That boy, he's one of my favorite backs to watch play the game of football right now, because he is not the biggest, he is not the fastest, but he will out physical just about every back that's
He's definitely an angry runner.
Man, that boy.
But what defense that's still in the game is better suited to go against the angry runner than a Baltimore front seven?
Yeah, and that's where I'm getting at is like there are so many things that we can look at and say, you know, MO, history, all of this that Patrick Mahomes is gonna advance to the Super Bowl. But in reality, the reality of it is everything is primed, seasoned, and set up for the Baltimore Ravens to take this. I mean, that defense that they have is phenomenal, man. Like they can play against anybody, and now you're going to play against a team that, although is a very, very potent team between the quarterback, the tight end, and that running back, but unless those three hit it off the way that they need to or they want to hit it off, this team tends to go south. And we have
to throw in that Chris Jones has to be a one-man wrecking crew, because if he doesn't get to Lamar, Lamar's going to take off for 10, 15 yards.
Absolutely. My prediction for this is at least I'd say about 235 yards for Lamar Jackson with 2 touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown, and at least 35 to 45 rushing yards. The game should be anywhere from 24, 27 to 20. We'll say that. I think that the Ravens are going to pull this off. This is not going to be one of those things where they're like, oh, one thing that I will say is everybody is talking about the whole thing about the colors on the Super Bowl flyers, something like that, at the beginning of the season where San Francisco 49ers and Baltimore Ravens colors and everything. You might be able to kind of like dictate and control certain things that happen in the game. But football is one of those games where it would be very, very difficult to really have a script for this game because everything got to go exactly to the T of what they write, quote unquote. But besides that, I guess to cut it short, and I've already said it, Baltimore's going to take this game. Not to take away from Patrick Mahomes or anything he's done throughout the years that he's came on board. Ever since Alex Smith left Kansas City, he's been showing out. He's one of the favorite quarterbacks to watch, one of the most polarizing quarterbacks to watch, aside from Lamar Jackson. I mean, Lamar Jackson owns the field, and Patrick Mahomes owns the field. And aside from that, you got Joe Burrow, and from there the list just goes down. So Baltimore Ravens for me.
All right, take us home.
And so this is one of the last 2 for the season. We're going to get into discussions a little bit on whether we're going to be having an off-season show. Hopefully we can get that going and everything.
We're gonna do a draft 3-part show.
Yeah, why not? Absolutely, I'm all game for it. It was a pleasure having you guys watching us. For the few followers, subscribers, and viewers that we've had throughout the season and everything, we appreciate y'all at every moment for liking, subscribing, and hitting that bell. But all the love goes out to you guys. We wouldn't be able to do it without you. Chris, we appreciate you, taking lead, doing all the graphics and everything. I do agree. I enjoy the entry every single time that I watch it. I think it's pretty phenomenal. All right, guys. So till next week, this time, same time, maybe not the exact same time, but we'll get there. From Time to Shine, Ed, Kilmore Charles, and the executive consultant, this has been the Dynasty Corner Roundtable here at Unpopular Review. You have a wonderful day, wonderful weekend, wonderful week, and let's do this again next Tuesday.